All right. Yeah. We need to go now. But would you be contesting in 2027?
Good question. If Nigeria is still around and there is an electoral system to follow, my love for Nigeria is undying. Mark that. I will appropriately associate with the groups and individuals I think are like-minded and will try to rescue Nigeria.
But you would like to still run with Peter Obi?
Absolutely.
But if it's not coming to Labour Party, you are not willing to leave the Labour Party?
If you had heard what I was saying on air 2 months ago, there are 2 individuals I will succumb to. The first one has not said so, I will not say it on his behalf. The second one is Peter Obi. I'm always with Peter Obi until he decides not to.
When people like Baba Ahmed talks, you see that people that has wisdom talks. How this man selects his words, we tell you that we need more people like this in our politics, in power. So he was asking so many questions about P2B, coalition and everything, and his responses were shocking. Everybody guys will watch the full video and let me go to your views and thoughts in the comment section.
All right, everyone, let's begin our very first conversation. We'll focus on the state of the nation and where our country needs to move forward. You've been hearing government saying what they want to do, but what is the opposition and the opposition voices? What are they saying? The nation is battling insecurity, issues of economy being strained, and a democracy still searching for the truth. A lot of people are asking and agitated for electoral reforms. And tonight also, the issue of the internal politics in the Labour Party gets our attention, which was a party that was a rallying point for a lot of young Nigerians, is now facing some internal division as the 2027 election race quietly takes shape. With promises of security and prosperity still unfulfilled in many ways and causing frustrations for some Nigerians, and the questions keep coming up on the streets of Nigeria. Tonight, I will be joined by the vice presidential candidate of the Labour Party in the 2023 presidential election, Senator Datti Ahmed is live for us here in our studio. Thanks so much indeed for joining us tonight on the program.
Hi, Shu.
How are you today?
Very well, thanks.
Yeah, I hope that you've gone to realign your registration because INEC has started that process.
This week?
Yeah, they'll start, the online will start on Monday.
This week, yes.
Yeah, on Monday they will start. How does that make, what do you feel about that process?
Normal. Nothing special about it.
You've been very critical of INEC. So I imagine that, from the by-elections and the conduct, in your own assessment, what do you think?
Before what I think, let's get something straight. Let's mark out certain boundaries. A statement of fact is not, in effect, a criticism. The whole Nigerian media reports insecurity better than opposition members or politicians do. But when the mainline media report it, it's normal. When an opposition politician says there is insecurity, or those who promised security have failed in providing that security, then it becomes criticism. But in reality, it's a statement of fact. Over and beyond that, some people go to categorize statement of fact as personal attacks. Some people go to the extreme level of saying that they are insults. In reality, they are not, for God's sake. Some people who do politics are in business of politics to make better their societies or their country. In so doing, you cannot afford to close your eyes. Others make a living by actually undoing what people like me are doing. And for what is left in the rest of this administration, sometimes one feels like, okay, you said there is security, let's see it. You said the economy has improved, let's see it. The question you're asking me about INEC, I have never been critical. I don't have energy to spend on criticizing INEC. INEC conducted a fraudulent and bad election, which is not, up to now, consistent with the Nigerian Constitution, the declaration itself. And I stated it. They have finished us. They have declared a government that is in place and providing the kind of governance they can provide. So I have no business with INEC besides the statement of fact. Now, having cleared this, and it is very, very important to do so, statement of fact, let INEC do what they feel like. Let their conscience judge them. Let posterity judge them. Let Nigerians judge them.
By November this year,
yes.
Professor Mahmoud Yakubu's time at INEC will gradually wind down. In your own view, the leadership of INEC could be very critical. Nigerians are asking for electoral reforms and looking forward to an election that will bring some level of trust in our democracy. What are your own views about who should be the next lead, who should lead INEC going forward into our critical 2027 elections?
Very simple answer. A credible person. That's all I want. That's all I want. A credible person. Not somebody who would clearly read what the Constitution provides. 25% in at least 2/3 of the states of the Federation and the FCT, and go ahead to breach the Constitution and put Nigeria in what Nigeria is in today. Just one individual. If you recall, I told you, throughout human history, individuals make or break nations. This man is going to be responsible for what has happened, what is happening in Nigeria. It is wrong. I still say it is wrong up till now. Without apology, it's a statement of fact. Another arm of government upheld what he did. I beg to say, as small as I am, by the service of God Almighty in my heart, it is wrong what they upheld.
But you were proven wrong by every institution of state.
We were not wrong.
But the court says you were wrong.
No, they have the power to say we were wrong. Now, this is another clarification we have to make. The courts have the power to say you are wrong, even if you are not wrong. And we were not wrong. That election was rigged. And that election, the results up to now are not consistent with the Nigerian Constitution. Anyway, leave that. You asked me who I want is not important. I want a credible person. I would rather we talk about democracy for once. I would rather we talk about the Fourth Republic for once. I would rather we talk about the average Nigerian citizen for once. Because the Nigerian politician, the Nigerian elite, and the Nigerian leaders.
Because our election is at the heart.
Yes.
Because it's a process of choosing a leader. No matter what kind of state that you have, where you don't have the right leader, you're set for a disaster. And that is why it is important for us to get it right in the choice of those who conduct our elections, because it determines how our country goes, because it determines our leaders.
I couldn't agree more with you that our leadership recruitment is all and everything about Nigeria now. And electoral fraud is right now the single most important fact to be addressed in our life as a nation, even beyond insecurity. Insecurity is derived from electoral fraud. The way we have it now, Nigerian election gave birth to the kind of insecurity we have today. But there isn't enough time to discuss it now. But I can prove it. Corruption is aggravated by the kind of electoral fraud that we have. The destruction of our youth, the destruction of our systems, including the judiciary, these are all guaranteed by the types of elections we hold. So, yes, you couldn't be more correct, and I could not agree on you on anything more than our leadership recruitment is the bane of our problems today.
You look at where we are as a people today, and there are a lot of factors that happen globally that could have pointed us into prosperity. COVID could have taught us a lot of lessons that would have directed us in the way of tech and innovation. Because in the rest of the world, it braced them up for the worst, and it helped them to wake up. There's some part of their brains that weren't working before COVID, and a lot of things started happening. A lot of businesses came to boom after COVID. The war in Ukraine and Russia gave rise to a lot of countries' prosperity.
Nigeria is quite different. Sorry to cut in.
Absolutely.
I want to say a lot in this our engagement. Nigeria is quite different from the countries you're talking about, and right now, all Nigeria needs to prosper is good leadership.
That's one. That's
in fact,
the one and only.
That's the one and only thing. Everything else will fall in place. We have been underestimating how industrious Nigerians are. A Nigerian from a badly disadvantaged state raises a little capital, and you find him in China, in South Korea, creating businesses out of necessity. Come back to Lagos, come back to Abuja, and those people are thriving. All we need in Nigeria today is good leadership, and everything else will fall in place. Insecurity will be sorted with the right leadership. But to get that right leader, you must produce them through the right way.
Well, do we have that sort of... You were on the ballot as a running mate in 2023. Does it look like the year that we could have gotten it right? If not, 2027, do we have a possibility of getting it right as a people?
I doubt 2027.
Why?
Quite frankly, I'll come back to that. But your question is spot on, but could even be more so. 2023 was not exactly there. 2015 was there, but not just to get the election, but to get the right leadership. 2015 was when Nigeria was disappointed, was when Nigeria was let down. 2015 was when we realized that some people are in Nigerian politics for the wrong reasons. Here is a government, no names called, given power easily, not even going to court against them. Took 6 months to form the government, and then, corruption started afresh. Insecurity took new dimensions and everything. Your question, as good as it was, is that was 2023 or 19 or 15 the time that Nigerian leadership would have begun to answer their names? Good leaders begin to Nigerian politics produce good leaders. When in 2015 we thought it was good leadership produced, we came to realize it was indeed bad leadership produced.
That was when Buhari came into power.
I don't want to call
So you thought, the facts are there that when you mention the year,
I know, okay.
So it's a fact that you thought that a lot of Nigerians were disappointed. The Buhari government came with a lot of hopes and expectation. That's what you meant.
Absolutely.
Nigerians were disappointed.
Absolutely.
Was that something that Buhari could have done? I mean, coming with that huge expectation, someone that ran for the fourth time and won the election, running and hoping that he's going to make Nigeria better. What would you say was a problem? Was it an issue of lack of preparedness, or the fact that there were no intentions of good governance?
Do you really want me to say it?
Absolutely.
May God forgive all of us, especially the departed. I did mention that some people were in the game for the wrong reason. And I think we're not far from the truth in that regard. Here was a gentleman that was retired from the army, removed from power at the age of 42. No trade to his name. So the first thing to do, of course, after coming out from the 3-year detention and everything, politics. When, during the Abacha time, the arch enemy of Abacha, so become friends with this one, get an appointment, and when they got that appointment, it was a different story from the leadership of 84-85. There was no longer truth, there was no justice. It was corruption and corruption and corruption. Everybody knows how corrupt that government was. Up to now, there is money still being claimed by the federal government of Nigeria. And this is a statement of fact, I'm saying. 2003 happened. And then it all became about party contribution. And then the ecosystem around this individual became all about party contribution, political campaign contributions. It happened again in 2007, 2011, and then 15. Now, what I'm saying is that the ecosystem around the individual you're talking about, which I didn't want to mention, were in the whole game for the wrong reason. Without party contributions, that ecosystem would starve. So when they got power in 2015, it was like wolves finding it so easy. And then corruption started afresh.
But this
look, this is not very important.
I mean, there are people,
I want to change the topic,
who were in that 2015, the league of those who came into power in 2015. They are in the ADC now saying that they want to fix Nigeria. What are your thoughts about that?
They are deceiving us.
The ADC?
Yes.
I thought not just one of them.
No, I mean Labour Party, for God's sake.
But I thought that you are a Peter Obi man.
I'm a Peter Obi man. I still want Peter Obi to come back in Labour Party, contest 2023 and 2027. Those are not, please, show. I know you call it politics today. And I know we're doing politics. There are more fundamental issues I want to talk about. Even this Buhari case that I talked about, you led me into discussing it. I don't want to. There are more important things. What do we really have? I'm not asking the questions. So I cannot ask myself questions and answer them. But now, look, what's going on in Nigeria? What's going on? What's happening with the Fourth Republic? The armed forces that we cried about, the whole world cried about, actually spent money to bring in democracy, suppressed their own desires to bring in democracy. What is happening with this democracy? What's happening to the Fourth Republic? It's more important for me to discuss this than to discuss...
so if you look at what is going on in the present Nigeria, and you imagine that either you belong to Labour Party, ADC, PDP or APC, at the end of the day, Nigeria is Nigeria. And we need to care for the well-being of our dear nation. The trajectory of, first and foremost, of our economy.
Yes.
Are we on the right track? Are we possibly or likely to have be in the right shape of mind in getting things right?
Brilliant question. One of my professors at Harvard Business School, in fact, the director himself, on a goodbye note, he said to me, but I want you to be more patient and tolerant about the way you will be misunderstood because of the way you present. And what you work on in your mind is usually not the typical. I have put that at the back of my mind. Apparently, it's not just the only one who said it. You spoke about the economy. Economic orientation of a young nation way back in 1960, becoming independent from the British Empire that found oil and gas, agric potentials, solid mineral potentials and everything, but then a complicit public system. Now, this is what I have been saying in the last, not just saying, doing. You go to a doctor, for example, out of 100 ailments, he needs to be 100% sure the particular ailment he's going to treat you for is your problem. Otherwise, you have a bigger problem. A factor of 10,000. Out of 10,000, you need to pinpoint what really is our problem now. And I think what Nigerians are not used to hearing. On the governance side, I told you it was electoral fraud. On the economy side, it is procurement. It sounds strange. I can see how surprised you are. Why am I saying this?
And that's in the heart of the civil service.
That is at the heart of the nation itself. Development does not exist in nature. You have to make it. To make it means you have to procure, you have to buy it. Efficiency comes into question. The insecurity that we're facing, if you spend $1 billion on security and you get $50 million worth of security, you would definitely have insurgency in the northeast, banditry in the northwest. You would. Where is the balance of 95%? In the pockets of political, they have served political group and individual interests. This is procurement. Let me tell you something so basic because of lack of time. Everybody knows the story. David and Goliath. Everyone knew it was a lost battle. But how did it happen? David procured the winning formula, the stone. And how did he? He took time to go and find it. He kept it. Have we procured our development? Have we procured our future? No. Are we efficient in doing that? No. Why are we not? Corruption. How is this corruption happening? Weak procurement. Why is there weak procurement? Personal interest, group interest, political interest, electoral interest.
Transactional way of life.
Thank you. Now, do you have leaders who will be able to remove these interests? Yes. Willpower. I, for one, I knew in 2023, Peter Obi and I were willing to do that.
And you have the formula to be able to fix that?
We have the formula to do that.
Give me a moment, Senator.
Yes.
We'll go on a break, and when we come back, more on the right path that Nigeria needs to tread. Senator Datti Ahmed will be back with us, everyone. Stay with us, everyone. Thanks so much, everyone, for staying with us. My conversation with Senator Datti Ahmed continues. Thank you so much indeed for your time tonight. I mean, there's going to be a lot. One has to be methodic and strategic in the issue you raise in fixing the procurement problem that we have in Nigeria. But beyond that is the realization of a people that there is a goal, which is Nigeria. It does look like we are largely divided. And a people divided, or a nation divided, can never see development.
Thank you, Shiu.
How do we mend the divided fiber of our nation?
Some people call it educated. They said the people are not educated. And while I will not outrightly disagree, I keep saying that you don't need to be educated to know the difference between right and wrong. I went to the extent of breaking down what it was. And what I come up with is some kind of a pyramid. I'm sorry I'm not being academic, but because it is my way of life, I can take a minute or two here to discuss it. At the rock bottom is basic literacy of a society or of a nation. Just above it, you have awareness, civic awareness. Then above it, social enlightenment. Above it, you have what we call education. And above it, you have what we call professionalism. And this is the way almost all societies are structured. What is desirous is that there be no gap. If you take the society for a square, that all of that square should be filled by the percentage of population that are literate, aware, enlightened, educated, and professional. But, I mean, you can't afford to have, historically, there is a small number of medical doctors, engineers, architects, PhD holders, and all that, you know? You can't have 100% of the population, and that's why it goes up as a pyramid. The actual point you're talking about is that level of civic awareness? How literate is the Nigerian society to unite? Not very good. So you see, you are challenged to even the very next level of how civic aware is the Nigerian society to unite. And it is very close to the fundamentals of democracy that I've been wanting to talk about. Let's go back in time and let's open up the conversation. In the 80s and 90s, when the Western world was calling on African and Caribbean and some Asian countries, not just calling, sometimes to the extent of sanctions and all that, for them to democratize. Put that on one side, and then contrast with the very stable, peaceful, and prosperous countries of the Middle East, the monarchies. Most American presidents, after becoming president, among the first place they go is the Middle East, Saudi Arabia, and all the rest are monarchies. You reported it. Donald Trump was there. There wasn't a single democracy. I plotted on a graph the stability and the type of government. This was in 2022. And in the Middle East, all the monarchies are stable and prosperous and peaceful. All the either dictatorship or military or something else were under occupation of militias. All of the Middle East without exception. Africa, Nigeria inclusive, had to swallow that pill. It was a sweet pill, turning out to be very bitter, I regret to say. Democracy is sweet. The arguments behind it are sweet. But democracy is also delicate. And democracy is for the people who can practice it. Now, let me finish. I'm not giving you a lecture. Let me finish.
No, I was going to ask if democracy is making us look good, if at the end of the day we're getting the kind of democracy that we're employing in our polity, if it's working for us or not.
Thank you. Let me just finish before you cut me. Where was I?
Sorry. The pill that we swallowed.
It was a sweet pill coming out with very, very bitter consequences. Somebody out there, including those who called on Nigeria, that you must adopt democracy, which I agree. If we go back in time, I love democracy. I want it, but we have to practice it. Now, of the people, for the people, by the people, what is missing there, Shehu? What kind of people? The people divided that you're talking about? And that's why I kept saying that if you cannot practice democracy, democracy is not for you. And I'm not saying that we should stop practicing democracy today. What I'm saying is that we must practice it. And it is not rocket science, it's not impossible to practice it. The first thing we should do is that our electoral system must produce the leaders that are elected by the people. Not the kind of election we saw in 2023, where after promising world leaders like Thabo Mbeki that I will come and correct everything in the morning, you sneak 4 a.m. Never happened in the history of the world. 4 a.m. to go and declare a government that is still misruling us today. The second perspective is that are the Nigerian people able to demand their rights, protect their rights, extract the dividends of democracy? Regrettably, no. And I think that is what you rightly but simplistically put as divided. Now, maybe in the Middle East, they realized their temperament, their history, their everything is not consistent with. So, won't start in the first place. it is better to have a responsible dictator, what they call rulers, to lead them. Because the beginning of peace and prosperity is a good leader. The beginning of chaos and disaster is a bad leader.
I have to wrap up, and I'm
really?
looking at, I have to wrap up, and I'm looking at the issue of corruption.
Yes.
And maybe in one sentence, how do you think we can stop it?
Procurement.
That you mentioned earlier.
Yes. Maybe you don't know this. Way back in 1999, we're not talking of politics now. You are asking somebody who is deeply involved. I was behind the documents that led to what you see today as BPP. Yeah. So you're asking me what I know. Well, I'm not claiming to know more than anybody, but the evidence is there.
When we handle it well, when we do it well, we will rid our nation of corruption.
Just mark what I said. Development does not exist in nature. You have to make it.
All right.
You have to buy your security. You have to buy your peace. You have to create your prosperity. And if you are deliberately wasteful in doing that, like we are, kilometer of road, bed space in hospitals, the public institutions, universities that we know. For example, way back in 2010, 2011, somebody creates a university with 2.5 billion, and somebody else in government is starting a public university with 10 billion in a temporary site. These are all procurement issues. So that is corruption. And let me repeat, when you have leaders that remove personal, group, and political interests from governance, then you are beginning to fight corruption.
So
now, what happens now is intrinsically, Nigerian leaders come in by default, and Nigerian people seem to have accepted it. Once you have taken power over the Nigerian state, give the contracts the way you want them, share the oil wells the way you want them, make the appointments the way you want them. Do it, and no Nigerian will come out to oppose you on that.
All right.
And this is not democracy. In fact, even the parliamentarians are silenced through different means, including threat of not being re-election and many other things. And those of us who are not in parliament, we see all sorts of threats to our personalities, to our own persons, to our own businesses, and all that.
All right. We need to go now. But would you be contesting in 2027?
Good question. If Nigeria is still around, and there is an electoral system to follow, my love for Nigeria is undying. Mark that. I will appropriately associate with the groups and individuals I think are like-minded, and will try to rescue Nigeria.
But you would like to still run with Peter Obi?
Absolutely.
But if it's not coming to Labour Party, you are not willing to leave the Labour Party?
If you had heard what I was saying on air 2 months ago, there are 2 individuals I will succumb to. The first one has not said so, I will not say it on his behalf. The second one is Peter Obi. I'm always with Peter Obi until he decides not to.
Who is the first person?
I just told you that it's not my place to say it. Sooner
you're not asking him, but at least he has a name, he has an identity.
He has an identity.
Is that Rotimi Amechi?
No.
All right.
But Rotimi Amechi is a good guy. He's a good person.
You can deputize him.
By the way, why do you think I have to be a deputy?
No, because there is an arrangement that you followed, which meant that you deputize the zoning arrangement.
Yeah.
So that's why
But don't keep looking at me as a deputy, please.
All right.
Yeah, but Rotimi Amechi is good. Then you can forgive all past. He's one of those you can forgive, because I think he's someone that can always adapt.
All right.
Peter Obi is always welcome. I am still paying a heavy price for going to call for unity in Labour Party, and I'm not regretting, and I'll remember it. I want to unite Labour Party, let him come back. The ADC and stroke coalition people over-assumed that by just mentioning we're going to form a coalition, everybody should not ask any question, just come in. I will not be one of those. I will ask the right questions, and I want you to give me the right answers before you convince me to go and repeat the same. Look, removing a government is no problem. As big as you see Tinubu is, as big as you see him, he can be defeated. Easily, he can be removed. Do you understand?
Yeah.
That's not the problem. The problem is what is going to follow. And I don't want us to repeat 2015. Form the coalition, deceive the whole world that here is a credible government that's coming, and then bring in the worst government Nigeria has ever seen.
Senator Datti Ahmed, thank you so much indeed for your time.
I think the only thing he has been pointing in at is credible leaders. That we need credible leaders. He was not basically pointing at people, but he said that we need credible leaders. Those leaders that understand and that can make sacrifice for the betterment of Nigeria. Those people that can put their interests aside and put the interests of Nigerians first. This is what this man has been hammering on. And that's exactly what we need in Nigeria. We need a credible leader that can say no to my personal interests and bring Nigeria first. And P2P has proven to be that person. P2P has proven to be selfless, has interest of Nigerians at hand, and I've given more reasons why Nigerians should actually support and vote for him. And I love the fact that Baba said that he's still going to run ahead with P2P if he's too interested in running. And if he run in the party, that he himself will still run ahead along with P2P, because he has been saying this thing that we need a credible leader. That's exactly what we need. A leader that's accountable, that is honest, that is truthful, and that can make sacrifices for the Nigerians, not just for himself. Because now we are hearing that the government want to increase salaries of office holders in Nigeria. That our president is earning 1.something million naira. Forgetting that Nigerians have brain. I don't know if they think that we don't have brain, or that we don't want to see. Forgetting that we have brain. We are seeing all the allowances. If they don't have money, where is Tinubu's wife getting money that she used to donate to even foreign countries? All these things are coming from our money, and they are seeing that the president is earning small, that they need to increase the salary of all the office holders. These are the kind of leaders we have, but we need the ones that would rather use public funds to invest in the sectors that can boost Nigeria's economy. That's what we need, and that's what Baba Ahmed stands for. But let me get your views and thoughts in the comments section. You guys in my next video.